coming up on Arirang News. Kicking off his state visit to Uzbekistan, President Yoon seeks to elevate South Korea's special strategic partnership with the Central Asian country through expanded cooperation in resources, infrastructure, and technology. Under the rotating presidency of South Korea, the UN Security Council debates the North's human rights abuses for the first time in almost a year, shedding light on the regime using its scarce resources to fund nuclear and missile programs. South Korea's top office confirms Russian President Vladimir Putin plans on visiting Pyongyang in the next few days. Experts predict that they might sign an agreement that'll strengthen their military cooperation.
Good evening, it's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. President Yoon touched down in Uzbekistan, the third and final stop of his Central Asia tour. Ahead of his bilateral summit with Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev on Friday, the South Korean leader summarized what he hopes to see arise from the partnership. Our correspondent Oh Soo-young follows this report from Tashkent.
President Yoon plans to ramp up South Korea's special strategic partnership with Uzbekistan through stronger cooperation in resources and infrastructure, as well as cutting-edge technology. In a written interview with an Uzbek media outlet published Thursday, ahead of his state visit to the Central Asian country, Yoon said he aims to bolster bilateral ties to become more mutually beneficial and future-oriented. Since establishing diplomatic ties in 1992, South Korea and Uzbekistan have broadened the scope of their economic cooperation to include automobiles, energy, electronics, textiles, finance and telecommunications, with bilateral trade hitting an all-time high of $2.46 billion last year. Yoon said his three-day visit will aim to build on the two countries' special strategic partnership forged in 2019 and establish close cooperation on energy, infrastructure and supply chains, and crucially, critical minerals to power Korea's high-tech industries, including semiconductors. The president highlighted advanced digital technology and AI semiconductors as key areas of collaboration. In a summit with Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev and a bilateral business forum scheduled Friday, Yoon also plans to back Korean companies in their efforts to secure local energy and infrastructure projects and make inroads into other industries.
So far, Korea-Uzbekistan relations have made remarkable progress centered on the energy and infrastructure fields, and today, cooperation is expanding to more diverse fields such as supply chains, healthcare, climate change, education, and public administration.
Acknowledging the 170,000 ethnic Koreans living in Uzbekistan, Yoon described it as a brother nation, as it's the only country in the region that has a special strategic partnership with Korea. He also pledged greater interest and support for overseas Koreans going forward.
President Yoon says he hopes the two sides will create a 21st century Silk Road through broader cooperation and human exchanges in cutting-edge fields, and as core partners of Seoul's new K-Silk Road initiative designed to boost engagement with Central Asian countries in economic security, development and culture. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Tashkent.
And in light of President Yoon's visit to Central Asia, we must mention Koryo Saram, meaning ethnic Koreans living in Central Asia. Our correspondent Song Yu-jin takes a closer look at their story and how they have been playing a crucial role in laying the bridge between South Korea and the region.
The term Koryo Saram, meaning Koryo people, has two meanings. One refers to those who lived in the ancient Koryo kingdom on the Korean peninsula around 1,000 years ago. The other refers to ethnic Koreans who lived in the former Soviet Union and their descendants. Currently, there are around 500,000 Koryo Saram worldwide, with approximately 300,000 residing in Central Asia.
They call themselves Koryo Saram because they came from Korea before it was divided into North and South. The name Korea is derived from Koryo, also romanized as Koryo.
The first records of Koryo Saram date back to 1864 when, due to economic hardships, around 60 Koreans from Hamgyongdo province crossed the Tumun River to settle in Russia's Far East Primorsky Krai. Historians say this marked the start of Korean emigration. More people continued to move to the region, but in 1937, under Soviet leader Joseph Stalin's orders, over 200,000 Koryo Saram suspected of being Japanese spies were deported to Central Asia.
Forced relocation to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan was treacherous. In the initial years, mortality rates were high, especially among children and the elderly, due to the cold, harsh weather, and lack of necessary infrastructure.
Despite these challenges, Koryo Saram persevered through what experts call their diligence. Working on collective farms known as cohorts, they earned recognition and respect in their new homelands. Over time, many broadened their roles in society, becoming doctors, lawyers, teachers, and scientists.
The strong commitment of Koryo Saram to education was truly remarkable. They did everything they could to send their children to college, and if possible, even abroad to places like Moscow. Rather than staying in farming, these parents relentlessly pushed their children to pursue higher education.
What also makes Koryo Saram unique is how they preserve their Korean heritage and identity.
Their identity is maintained not through the most common ways of religion or language, but through traditional cultural practices. Even today, many Koryo Saram families follow traditional Korean customs in their daily lives, such as funeral ceremonies, often more intricately than those living in Korea, maintaining a sense of connection to their heritage.
Having endured more than a century-long journey of resilience and cultural preservation, Koryo Saram serve as a bridge between Korea and Central Asia. 송유진, Arirang News.
Shifting gears, the UN Security Council has addressed North Korea's human rights situation for the first time in almost a year, pointing out that the regime is focusing on funding its nuclear weapons rather than helping its people. Our foreign affairs correspondent Pyongyang has the details.
A meeting to discuss human rights abuses in North Korea was held at the United Nations headquarters in New York on Wednesday, despite opposition from North Korea's traditional allies in China and Russia. Under the rotating presidency of South Korea, the UN Security Council convened to shed light on North Korea using its scarce resources to fund nuclear and missile programs, instead of helping its heavily impoverished people. A meeting to discuss such issues at the 15-member council was the first of its kind in 10 months, since August 2023, and only the second since 2017. South Korea's ambassador to the United Nations, Hwang Jun-guk, described the North as a two-headed chariot, driven by nuclear weapons and human rights violations, and said if human rights violations stop, nuclear weapons development will also stop.
The DPRK's exploitation of its citizens, domestically and overseas, including through forced labor, generates revenues that finance its weapons programs. As such, we now call on all UN member states to join us in taking action to bring concrete change that improves the welfare of people in the DPRK and contributes to a more peaceful and secure world.
During the meeting, Kim Gum-hyuk, a North Korean defector who grew up in an elite family, said he learned the truth about his regime at the age of 19, when he went to study in Beijing, hoping to become a North Korean diplomat. He was visibly emotional as he described how the internet enabled him to realize the horrific truth of North Korea, including political prison camps, death from starvation, public executions, and people risking their lives to escape.
Discussing my homeland with students from around the world made me further realize how many basic facts I have been kept ignorant of. And my loyalty for my leaders turned into a deep sense of betrayal. I realized that the Kim family that I wanted to serve were not my heroes, but dictators denying countries countless people's freedom just to build their own power, wealth, and honor.
South Korea's foreign ministry says the government will continue to work on holding more discussions on this issue at a global level to raise awareness about the reality of the North Korean human rights situation and its connection to international peace and security. Peun's Arirang News.
South Korea's top office confirms that Russian President Putin's rare trip to Pyongyang could take place at any time now. Experts say it may further strengthen military cooperation between Pyongyang and Moscow. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jung-sil explains.
Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Pyongyang looks to be imminent. Several media are reporting signs of the regime making preparations ahead of the visit by moving airplanes parked near Pyongyang International Airport's main terminal and decorating Kim Il-sung Square. An official at the South Korean presidential office also confirmed the visit, saying it will take place within a few days. The question comes down to why it is happening now.
The objective of Putin's visit to North Korea is to solidify Russia's relationship with North Korea, which has elevated to alliance-like military and economic partnership. Putin and Kim Jong-un met in Russia in last year, so it was expected that Putin would visit back North Korea after the presidential inauguration this year.
With the upcoming visit, experts say the relationship between Moscow and Pyongyang could reach a new level. They say treaties on military and security cooperation could be signed between the two parties aimed at elevating their strategic relations. The last time Putin visited Pyongyang was in July 2000. He met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's father Kim Jong-il and ratified a joint declaration reaffirming their close bilateral relationship. But experts say things have changed significantly in the last 2 decades.
The biggest difference compared to 2000 is the war in Ukraine broke out, where there's a much higher level of military and security cooperation between North Korea and Russia. For Russia, strategic cooperation with North Korea has become very important, and for North Korea pursuing a higher level relationship including military and security cooperation compared to previous economic and scientific technological cooperation with Russia has become its absolute national interest.
He added it's important for the South Korean government to continue sending messages that there mustn't be any military cooperation that violates UN Security Council resolutions. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
Moving on to the medical dispute here in the country. The government is vowing to take a strong stance against medical professors and junior doctors should they take collective action starting Tuesday next week. During an emergency briefing on Thursday, the government stated that as medical law stipulates, a medical practitioner cannot refuse to treat patients without a justifiable reason, the planned walkouts will be dealt with as illegal acts. Members of the Korea Medical Association are due to take a day off on Monday, while medical professors at major university hospitals are set to stage walkouts for an indefinite period of time over the course of the next few weeks. The government pledged to maintain its strong emergency response system. Korean content startups are stealing the show at NextRise, the largest startup fair in Asia, as they aim for the global market. Our business correspondent Lee Soo-jin went to see what they have to offer.
It's an opportunity for local startups to rise and take off into the global market. Here at this year's NextRise, the largest startup fair in Asia, which is being held in Seoul for 2 days starting Thursday, startups have the chance to not only network but also showcase their latest products and services.
Startups are becoming a new growth engine for our economy, so our government is planning to do all that we can to support them.
The annual event, which has taken place since 2019, features more than 500 domestic and global startups this year. And the largest booth at the event was one run by the Korea Creative Content Agency, a government organization affiliated with the Ministry of Culture that oversees the promotion of local content, one of the nation's most promising export sectors. One of the featured startups is this domestic startup that breaks down language barriers by translating content using AI and converting them into audio dubbed files in English, Chinese, and Japanese.
We help make content from domestic companies such as SM Entertainment reach global fans, and at the same time help content from overseas companies reach the domestic audience.
Another local startup that is using advanced technology to promote various media content is this data analysis business. One of its services provides in-depth marketing insights by analyzing the sensory responses of audience members with an IoT-based headband as they watch a certain scene. Depending on how the viewer responds to the scene, production companies may decide to cut or keep it.
There is also a large demand overseas for services that can analyze the weak and strong points of various media content. And since ours is the first that's able to analyze viewers' biosignals, we expect to see robust global demand.
And in recognition of how important it is for startups to expand abroad so they can, according to industry insiders, expand revenue streams, Japan was selected as the featured guest country at the fair, the first time this type of selection has been made. With the fair putting a greater focus on overseas markets and providing plenty of networking opportunities, local startups will be able to use this as a chance to make their foray into the global markets. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
The 11th BTS Festa is here. Held annually on June 13th, the 2024 edition got underway on Thursday from 11 a.m. to celebrate the group's debut with its fans. The event took place at Seoul Sports Complex in Jamsil until 9 p.m. Various programs have been set up for fans, including themed zones and photo booths. BTS member Jin, who was discharged from the army on Wednesday, hosted special events, including one where he gave hugs to 1,000 raffle winners held earlier this month. Korea is renowned for its gaming culture and hosts one of the biggest esports markets in the world. We take a look at its journey from simple entertainment to cultural phenomenon with celebrity status for its players. Our Yoon reports.
Esports is no longer just about playing or watching the games. It's about belonging to a community, celebrating shared passions, and embracing a new form of cultural expression. Established in 2018, Seoul's Esports Hall of Fame is the world's only venue dedicated to the history of esports, in particular the 20-year journey in South Korea. It is operated by the country's Culture Ministry and Korea Esports Association.
We aim to boost student engagement in esports and establish standardized regulations for esports to sustain our leading global position.
At the 2022 Asian Games, which took place last year, League of Legends was featured as an official medal sport for the first time, with South Korea clinching the gold. In addition to the South Korean team's impressive skills, the intense passion of fans was also notable. What cultural factors might contribute to this phenomenon? A professor of game studies says that in the late 1990s, as South Korea surged as a global IT powerhouse, the culture of PCbang, or internet cafes for gaming, became prevalent. However, he said there are other elements to the phenomenon driven by younger generations.
A new trend called JOMO, or joy of missing out, is gaining traction beyond FOMO, which means fear of missing out. It's about focusing on what you enjoy rather than worrying about what others are doing. Esports is something understood among the younger generations.
And of course there's Faker, the South Korean living legend of esports, inspiring fans worldwide. He was crowned the first ever inductee into the Hall of Legends, a recognition introduced by the developer of League of Legends, Riot Games, this year. A promotional hall in Seoul has turned into a Faker temple, honoring his contribution to the esports scene.
Here at the special tribute area, fans express their reverence for Lee Sang-hyuk, also known as Faker. This worshipping zone shows the profound inspiration Faker ignites within his fans.
Among women born in 1996, I love my wife the most, and among men is Faker. I think Faker's unwavering consistency stands out the most.
Regardless of the outcome of matches, Faker is known for his steadfast attitude to never giving up and unwavering focus on his gaming career. And such attributes serve as examples for the younger generations.
As a longtime fan of Faker, I'm really interested in checking out the books he recommends.
Something that was once simply considered only a game, then transitioned into a sport, and is now evolved into a cultural phenomenon. Yoon, Arirang News.
With more households looking for life companions, 1 out of 3 households in South Korea owned a pet last year. Our An Sung-jin went to check out how this is changing our consumption patterns.
More pets, more businesses. As more South Koreans are having pets, more and more businesses are specifically targeting these pet owners to win over new customers. According to research from KB Financial Group, the number of households in South Korea that owned a pet in 2022 was more than 5.5 million. And when it comes to Seoul, 1 in every 10 households in the capital has a pet.
The number of single households increases, and we are entering an aging society, which also increases the likelihood of owning pets.
With the rising number of pets, the hospitality and tourism industries are trying to meet the demands of this increase in pet owners. For example, the Pepemjok in Korean, which literally translates to Pet Family Tribe, has been a slogan driving business decisions. This company specifically works on providing services for pet owners like a temple stay with your dog.
Our service revolves around providing information on places that are pet-friendly. Our users have doubled for the first half of 2024 compared to last year. There are increased opportunities with pets these days, like a beach for dogs.
Data from the Korea Tourism Organization shows that the market value of Korea's pet industry is expected to reach up to $4.4 billion by 2027. This franchise cafe has been approved as a testbed by the Ministry of Trade under a regulatory sandbox framework that allows the cafe to have pets and food-selling areas.
Cafes and restaurants like these are helping foster a society where pets are more than just a cat and a dog. They're a lifelong companion.
The cafe has a separate pet zone and a dispenser for dog training pads and water bowls and trash bags.
I try to go around with my pet, but sometimes we face restrictions, so the places we can go are limited. It's a huge advantage to come here with my pet and comfortably enjoy our time.
Apart from more businesses opening up to pets, pet owners may also be looking out for more premium and high-quality products for their companions. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
The temperatures in Seoul have been going up day by day. With heatwave warnings everywhere, there were many places where the real field temperatures soared up to around 33 degrees today. The scorching heat continues tomorrow, with Seoul soaring up to 33 degrees during the daytime. Even on the East Coast, where the heat slowed down today, the temperatures will rise again slightly tomorrow. In addition, UV rays will also be strong in the middle of the day tomorrow. Ozone levels are going to skyrocket as well. For your information, ozone gases cannot be filtered even when wearing a mask. Please move as far away from the roadway as possible between 2 to 4 p.m. when the ozone concentrations increase. Tomorrow morning, temperatures will be very similar to today's at around 20 degrees. It will move up to 34 in Daejeon, Daegu, and Gyeongju. This heat is expected to gradually ease off over the weekend with rain and showers everywhere. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Well, that is all for this newscast tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news at 9 a.m. with New Day at Arirang. Take care.